EddyMufy. Today I have an amazing guy with me. It's a pleasure to be with you, Rasmus.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm glad I could be here.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Actually, I did some research about you and I was so crazy. Actually, man, I really got to see this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, how did you become the person you are today?
That's a big question, right? But you can kind of take my entrepreneurial journey, because that kind of started in 2007. Because before that, I actually was a music producer.
Okay.
So we start back then. I was doing dance music and stuff like that. But that's for another total lifetime. But in 2007, a colleague of mine where I worked, I was in the IT industry. He asked me, do you want to start a business with me? And I was like, this guy, he's really clever. And I was like, and you think I'm good enough to start a company, right? So I didn't really consider much. It's like, yeah, man, if you think I'm ready, right? So that was really my first jump in or step into to starting a company, basically, because I think most of us, we don't give ourselves enough credit. We doubt ourselves and our skills and see, can we actually do this? And we don't know. But when someone comes to us that we respect and say, you're good enough, then we take the step. And that was basically my entry into starting a business with someone I respected asked me. So I said, yeah, sure. And we started a company. To begin with, it was more like a IT consulting company. We, of course, had some kind of vision of taking over the world. But in the end, we were just a small-time consulting company. And that went really well. I mean, we started in 2007, and we had the crisis in 2008 and 2009. But we still, had cash flow coming in, and we had a few people working for us as well. So it was an okay company. But, when you start something for yourself, and you can directly influence the money you make in the company, you start maybe working a little bit too much, right? If if I really struggle through, I actually make more money. You don't do that when you're just employee, right? when you're just working for the boss, you don't want to struggle, right? Because you don't get paid more, and that's like you get a nod, right? That's it, right? But when you have your own company, I could see when I really struggled and worked more, I also made more, right? So yeah, I was working 50, 60 hours a day, and then you're a father as well, right? And I became a father for the first time in 2009, and that was kind of my turning point.
Yeah.
We had this company, it was only like 2.5 years old, and then I became a father. And I grew up outside of Copenhagen with a father who was alcoholic, right? Okay. So I never had kind of this big role model in my life. And he died when I was 16, basically from drinking. Seriously? At that point, back in 2008, I read the book, The 4-Hour Work Week, right? And
right?
Yeah, by Tim Ferriss, yes. And that was in 2008, and I started the company in 2007. And you don't start, after a year telling your partner that shouldn't we work less, right? You just don't do that, right? But I took that book up again and said, okay, I can live differently. I don't have to work 40 hours a week. Maybe not, 4 hours a week, but at least less. I can structure my life in a different way. And that was basically what I wanted. So I started creating a few online companies. And I did e-commerce sites for Danish customers. I did the search engine optimization. I had a team working for me in Eastern Europe. I had a team in the Philippines working for me, and I started making money each month, but I didn't have to work that much for it, because basically I outsourced everything. I was mainly a broker, finding the clients, but then someone else basically took over and delivered. So I started getting cash flow and not reworking much. And it was around in 2010 when I also sold the first company that we bought a house in Thailand. And you asked me earlier on before this we started here, but why Thailand? I said, well, I love chicken and rice, right? And the winters here in Denmark, I mean, I guess that too, they're not that interesting, right? So it's dark here in Denmark in the winter time, and it's cold, rainy, and people get in a bad mood all the time. So, for many years we spent January and February in Thailand in the house there. And yeah, then people started asking me, Rasmus, you lazy ass bum. Can I say that on your show? Or you're going to beep it out afterwards? Yeah, man, you lazy. You're never working, and you're in Thailand, some of the year, and what the fuck, right? I mean, what are you doing? I say, I just don't want to work too much, right? So I said to myself, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to inspire other people to maybe not, I mean, it doesn't really matter how you do it, but at least live the life you want to.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you want to work a lot, I mean, go ahead, do it by all means, right? But in the end, we have, at least in Denmark, a society, and I believe we have that in a lot of the world, that, you need to go to school, you need to get good grades, right? You need to go out, find a great job, and you need to really work your ass off. And then when you work your ass off, you get a promotion. And then you work even harder, right? And then when you're 70 years old with 2 false hips, right? Yeah. Then you can start living the life you really want, right? And that was just, that's what I'm going to tell other people, right? I don't mind how much you work, or if you do or not, or whatever, but at least you should have the life you really aspire to. So that was when I started. Basically, I wrote a book in English. I did online courses in English, and at one point, someone asked me, why don't you do this in Danish, because that's my native tongue. And I started doing it in Danish, and just took off faster than the English-speaking market. So today, I mainly teach people here in Denmark how to basically take, mainly, going from pay per time, pay per hour, to more creating a business based on their passion, and their message, really.
Amazing.
So,
amazing.
And if this gets too long, you can also cut it down, right?
Amazing.
Once I get started.
You know what? We're going to talk about something. We're going to talk about the forbidden words. Yeah. When I was watching a video, there was a logo I usually see which tagged to the passion and profit. So what do you mean by passion and profit, and what do you mean by retired my ass?
Yeah, I mean, retire my ass, I actually took that blog down, right? And that's because I haven't blogged in it for a while, and it was in English, and basically now I was in the Danish market. So it was just lying there, and it became more and more, just old, so I kind of closed it down, retire my ass. But for a long time, that was my blog, right? Retire my ass. And it was more like documenting my own journey, towards basically, retiring my own ass. So that was, I just love that, right? Because but I guess when you're talking about the US audience, and I'm not sure if anyone watching this is going to be from the US, I hope I don't insult anyone.
Okay,
but here in Denmark, I can say ass all I want to, right? I can say ass and fuck and all of that, right? I'm from Europe. I don't know better, right? But that just doesn't go well, in the States, right? So it wasn't the best of brands, I would say. So so passion and profit, it's basically, I want you to do and live a passionate life. But in the end, if you don't have any profit coming in, if you don't have any income coming in, you will have to do something you're probably not passionate about. I think it was Tony Robbins who said once, don't take my word for it. I've tried Googling it afterwards. I couldn't see if it was Tony, but I believe it was Tony who said something like, money won't solve your problems, but it will allow you to arrive at them in style. I like that, right?
Nice.
So I like that quote, and that's basically what I live by, because a lot of the people I teach, they have limiting beliefs about money, right? But in the end, we still need it.
Yeah, we still need it.
I couldn't buy a house in Thailand just, from doing nothing or spend much. I still need some cash flow to buy food and all of that as well, right? So passion and profit is basically about, to live the life you want to and have the business you love doing, and still make something you make some money on, so you can continue doing it. Okay.
Actually, that reminds me of this guy's quote, Les Brown. He said, "Money is not everything, but everybody want to find out for themselves."
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, fine. I'm going to use my book, my notes here, please. I don't want to forget anything.
No, that's fine.
You understand? So now, when I was going through the research, checking out about you, I figured out you are one of the most amazing guys in Denmark here when it comes to the public speaking and the online business sector. So, but what really triggers you to forget about the IT business, your own job, the business you set up after you left the IT sector? What really triggers you?
The IT business was great, and it still is. And as an independent consultant, I was a freelance consultant. I could make something like $20,000 roughly, $20,000 a month, basically as an independent consultant. So it wasn't that I was missing money, but in the end, my job was just boring. I felt like a small cog in the machinery. where I was just one of a lot of people, and I didn't really feel I could make any difference. So while I was making okay money, and I won't, I mean, a lot of people will probably say I could live on $20,000 a month, right? I mean, it was just boring as hell. I mean, and I could have worked in that industry until I became 80 years old if I wanted to.
Okay.
So why did I do the other thing? Well, when I saw how quickly I could put my message out there, and people started paying me for teaching them, it just took off. I started making more money on helping people working much less than when I was in the consulting space, right? So I saw, suddenly that when I did, seminars or online courses, online programs, I started making more money, and I was reaching more people and inspiring and helping more people. And when I saw that, I made the change. So I was doing consulting up until 2015. I was still doing some consulting every now and then to get some cash flowing, because it was so easy just to, give me 3 months of consulting work, right? And I could make some money. And besides, I had these online businesses as well. So I didn't work so much as a consultant, but still did some every now and then. So when in 2015 I could see I was making more money on doing online programs and teaching people and inspiring people and getting fans. You know how many fans you get when you're an IT consultant? Like this. I mean, right? Every now and then you get this you get this business manager. Rasmus, that was really good, right? But that's it, okay? Because your pay, your pay is the result there. But you started getting people who said, Rasmus, you changed my life. I mean, and that's just an amazing feeling, And I said, if I can actually get paid for helping people and inspiring people to living the lives they want, I mean, that's much better, right?
Yeah, really amazing. But weren't you scared, like, you were so sure of, like, what success is going to be in the business then? When you saw the business and you want to go into the speaking and teaching people how to say and learn something, weren't you scared because you didn't know if we're going to be successful or not?
No, because I knew I could also get back to the consulting if I really wanted to. I always had this, and perhaps that is, I spent a little bit too long in consulting because it was such a safe place and I could make easy money there, right? So I think that is the same for a lot of people, that when we don't have this burning platform, we don't move. Right? When there's nothing that are forcing us to move, we don't move. And for me, the first move I did was when I got a kid. My first kid, I have 2 now, right?
You got 2, right?
Yeah,
just
2
like
now.
Me,
right? Yeah, exactly. And the second one was when I saw that people really wanted my help. When I could see that, when I could see, okay, I can actually make this a living, then I kind of jumped ship on the safe consulting business. But I mean, my business now is much more, I would say, volatile.
Okay.
I can of course make more money and I can work less. But who knows what is working for like 3 years from now in the online space? I mean, it's changing so fast because it's a really new business, right? Yeah. It's a new market. Yeah. While the IT consulting business, I could stay there until I became 80 years old if I wanted to, right? So I would say it's a more volatile business, but I'm working much less. These typically for the past couple of years, I've been working 25, 30 hours a week. But in the end, I can run it from wherever I want to. So that's also why I'm doing retreats in Thailand, and I still love Thailand. It's a great place. Yeah. Rice and chicken, right?
Rice and chicken.
Yeah, I had this once. So you like rice and chickens, business and speedos, and I was like, and then I got these some of my customers and my clients to come to Thailand with me, and like, where's the speedos? So I was like, wow, well, it's just false marketing, right? No speedos here. So yeah.
Wow, that really sound amazing. So let me just jump to my question about half of your head, man. We live in a community whereby a lot of people are so busy with this 37 hours work a week, and it's like everybody is just running a treadmill, working so hard, but it seems to be where we are without even moving forward. Like somebody said that you shouldn't confuse progress with movement.
No.
Sometimes you might be busy walking, you think you are moving, but you are not progressing. So what do you advise for people who are still in this kind of circumstance, like working so hard but having little to show out of it?
I mean, unfortunately, I mostly see people get out of that when they really have a burning platform, as I said. At once I was hired in as a speaker for some guys, and it was like 20 or 30, but they were all, entrepreneurs. All of them had had businesses all their lives, and basically, I was this young guy. I was still in my 30s, and I was like, you have to work less and live more, right? And these guys was in like 60s, 70s, have been working all of their lives, right? But they actually resonated with me because, they had kids of their own and grandkids of their own, and they could see, their kids working a lot and not seeing their grandkids enough. Right, so they actually resonated really well with my message. And after I've done this speak, this guy comes up to me. He comes up to me and he says, "Rasmus, I really enjoyed your speak, and I just wanted to tell you my story." And he said, "My wife, through many years, was diagnosed with terminal cancer, right?
Okay.
And the doctor said to her, you have 1 year to live.
Just 1 year.
One year to live, and that's it." So, we sold our big house. We had this huge house we've lived in for our entire, lives. And the kids have already left the house, so we had all this space. We just sold it and rented this small 1-bedroom apartment, right? And I sold my business because, it's not important anymore. And Rasmus, we just started traveling. And you know what, Rasmus? It's been the best time of our lives. And it's 7 years ago, and she's still alive.
Like, seriously?
Yeah. So that's what I mean by the burning platform, right? They didn't change until she got the death sentence, basically, right? And she was told you had 1 year left to live. How do you want to live your life? So that's basically one question I typically ask people. If someone gave you like 1 year left to live, because people say, I love my job. Okay, but if I told you have 1 year left to live, right? Would you go back to the job tomorrow? And a few people might say, yeah, man, I love my job, right? but the rest of the people say, hell no, right? I'll rent a ship or a boat or something like that, take the family out, across the globe. And yeah, man, that's what we should try to focus at. Maybe that's not what you will do tomorrow, but let's try to create a life where that is possible, So most people don't move until you have that burning platform, unfortunately. But that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to inspire them to take action, to just move them. Maybe sometimes if they can just move someone in baby steps, right? Yeah. Maybe I can't get them to change their entire lives, but also I can just push them a little bit, right? And they take the first action and say, oh, this is actually working. And then the next step and the next step, right? Because once you get that feedback loop and you see some of this is working, then you get cravings for more. Does that make sense?
Of course, sure.
So instead of I'm trying to change the entire life in one go, I mean sometimes just pushing people a little bit, right? A little bit, baby steps. Yeah. And then at some point, they get enough feedback, and then they start saying, oh, this is really working. I had one client, and she has a really ugly website, so I won't mention any names, right?
Yeah, it's okay.
But it was this basic website, and she was basically just selling, she was a practitioner and having clients and selling her time, and then she created her first online course, and of course, as I said, she's like aesthetically challenged because it's really ugly, the website.
Yeah.
But for the first online course, she sold for like $25,000, something like that. The first time she launched an online course, right? And she was just selling, hours for like $100 or something like that. And of course, $25,000, it won't change your entire life, right? But the knowledge she got, that she can now, instead of selling her time, she can just create a program, and in a week and a half, she could make more money than she's done for the past many months, right? That's been a huge game changer for her. So of course now her entire business is changed, right? Not because of the initial $25,000, but from knowing that she doesn't have to sell her time to survive. Does that make sense?
Of course, sure.
Yeah.
That's so she has improved. That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
I wish everybody could just have this kind of idea.
Yeah. We all want $25,000. Yeah.
All right, then. So tell me, Rasmus, how easy it is to start an online business?
Well, every business you start, it's not like you have this kind of button you just push, because that's what most people want, right? People want this big red button, and I was in the music industry, as I briefly told you, and everybody was like, oh, that's a hit. They just has this drum machine, with this big drum machine and this big red button, make a hit, right? And just push that button and just came a hit. No, of course, it's not that easy, right? And it's not that easy with online business as well. But the big cost to you is time when you're starting up. But you don't have to have that much of money to get started. And I think that's the big game changer when it comes to running an online business, because in the old world, right, you have to get down and create a business plan and go down into the bank and say, okay, I want a loan, and the bank guys, before the crash in 2000 and the next crash in 2008, right, they'll just get you a loan, right? Okay, how much you need? $1 million? Okay, here's $1 million, right? But then, the banks, they learn that the market can crash, and now you can get a loan. If you have a new business, you can get a loan, right? I mean, you just can, right? So, at least not here in Denmark. I'm not sure how the investment things are in other places of the world, but in Denmark, you can't just say, oh, create this business plan, give me $1 million, right? Are you fucking kidding me? Right? Yeah. So now I give you a credit card for like $100, right? No, but so I think it's easy to get into it, but you need the drive. That's more important than money. You need the drive and the mindset saying this is what I want for myself. That's more important, because a lot of people, one of the typical clients who come to me, they say, okay, Rasmus, I don't know about the technical stuff, right? And you know what's the technical side of an online business? That's a commodity. You can Google that shit, right? Go on YouTube. How do I create, a blog or a website or whatever, right? It's just right there on YouTube, right? Yeah. So really, I mean, I'm moving more away from the whole technical aspects, because you can just Google that, and more into strategy and advice in that space. But a lot of people come to me saying, Rasmus, I'm afraid of the technical stuff. Then hire someone. I mean, today, you can hire someone in the Philippines for like $3 an hour, right? To get this done. You don't have to use someone in Denmark who will charge you something like $100 an hour, right? Yeah. I mean, we have all these tools, all these opportunities, and the whole world to help us. So it's never been easier compared to a traditional brick and mortar business, if you know what I mean, right? Where you have to kind of invest a lot of money and to get started up.
Honestly, that sounds like an icebreaker, because like yesterday I was with a friend of mine, he has a very big phone company. I was kind of asking him, man, how do you get to start this business? He told me, I never learned it, I never studied in school. I just log on YouTube and I study how to repair phone, and I become a phone dealer. And the shop is pretty big, man, and the guy very, very successfully amazing. So we can just log on YouTube and...
I mean, I have a background in IT, of course, right? But I don't really use that anymore, I would say, because the tools we have today are so easy to use that, your grandmother would be able to use them. Yeah, exactly, templates, right? If you see my first website, I mean, like, oh, damn, right? I mean, I'm aesthetically challenged as well, right? But then I got a lot of money, and then now I can pay someone to do it, right? But in the end, it's we have all these opportunities, right? We have both the tools, the more time it goes, the more accessible tools and IT become.
Yeah.
So now, in the beginning, when I started out selling, online courses, I had to have like 3 different services or programs, and I had to kind of, duct tape them together to get it working, right? But today you can have one system that does everything for you. Yeah, and have great support as well, right? Where you just, write them, and back in 15 minutes later, you have a video showing you what to do, right? Exactly. I mean, so I think people, they have this limiting beliefs that they're afraid of the technology of it, while they should really more focus on the business side of things and say, how can I provide value? And then, pay someone, either if you don't want to go to YouTube and do it yourself, pay someone, on the other side of the world who would be happy to take your money and help you.
Yeah.
Because, I couldn't do that when I got started. Yeah. Now, I've been outsourcing for like 12 years, something like that, right? So I've had experience outsourcing, but I had to learn it myself as well. Also, as I said, I have an IT background. I don't have a background in marketing and sales.
Yeah.
I'm this IT nerd, really, that had to teach myself how to sell my stuff.
Now you're a badass, man. Very.
Now I'm really good at selling, actually. Yeah, I've become really good at selling.
Good, man. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good, man.
So yeah, I mean, I had to teach myself, and I took courses. I Googled on the great internet, right? I had to learn it. I mean, I could create a great product, but if I couldn't sell it, I mean, what should I do? So I had to learn how to sell.
Honestly. Now the problem is this. A lot of people want to be free, but the problem is like they don't know where to go. I have somebody who's like, man, I'm tired of this job. I would like to do something online, but I don't know what to sell. So do you have a mindset for people like this?
Well, there's basically only 2 things you need to know about charging high prices. And the 2 things are, the bigger the problem you're solving, the higher the price.
Great, man. Yeah.
Okay? And then the second one is the better positioned you are, the higher prices you can take. So if you're positioned in your space as the number one guy, you can charge higher prices than number two. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the second one, the bigger the problem. Give you an example, right? These shoes here, right? My laces, they keep going up. I mean, yeah. And I've tied my own shoes since I was like 6 years old, right? But they keep going up. So you could probably sell me an online course about how to tie your laces so they never, fall out of the shoe or whatever. But I would probably not pay you more than like $5, right? So, but in the end, right now I have some money on a bank account, and my bank just started charging me negative interest. So I'm basically paying them money to store my money with them, right? So if you could like create a course or just have a chat with me for like 30 seconds in how I can get a solid interest on my money so they're not just in the bank, right? I would probably pay you a lot of money. I would pay you like 50,000 Danish kroners or $10,000 if you could, have my money make me an interest of 8% per year. I would gladly pay you $10,000, right? Can you see that? And it didn't have to be a big program. It would just be like 30 seconds in an elevator. I would still pay you if you could give me that solid advice. Does that make sense? So the bigger the problem you're solving, and when we look at that, there's basically like three major categories or markets. That's fitness or health. Then there's relationship, and then there's money or money advice, finance, right? Those are the big things. But just a couple of weeks ago, I saw this guy, okay, and I'm not lying. You can Google him, right? He basically teaches people to do handstands. Handstands, basically. Yes. Handstands, yeah. Handstands, yeah. That's it. Okay. And he went from $0 to $1 million in 6 months.
In Denmark, yeah?
No, he's from the States. In 6 months, $1 million.
Just
teaching people how to do handstands.
Okay.
His cheapest product is like $4,000. Wow. Teaching people to do handstands, Eddie. I had to read that twice as well. Blew my mind. So whenever someone comes up to me and say, Rasmus, I'm not sure, can I charge for this? Are you fucking kidding me, man? There's a guy who teaches handstands for like $4,000. Before a negotiation scenario, that would be a lot of money worth. Right? Going into a negotiation and you say, okay, I will give you the handshake, teach you the handshake, that will intimidate the other guy, or perhaps, get you rapport with him, like, so you're like best buddy. Should I bring the hand up here, or should I, there's a speaker in Denmark who's an expert in body language, right? And, he has all these, strategies and theories, or it's not him who came up with it, but he teaches them, should I do like this, or should I do like that? How do you greet people? So it's a business. You see? So you could actually do that. But again, I would probably not target, me, but, executives in the professional space, do the right handshake, for the right situation. I would say that's money in there.
Amazing, man. Amazing. You really sound incredible. Okay, now let's talk about success. Mm-hmm. What does success mean to you?
Well, we discussed this in the car coming over here. I say we because I have my assistant here with me as well, and it's really funny because success it's more like a feeling, I would say. And when I changed my direction in life, it was more like to get more happiness, really. Now I would like to have I can always use a bigger car or a better shirt or something like that, right? But in the end, it's a feeling, because I think I myself is really bad at congratulating myself on my successes whenever I do something. I'm not good. I'm not like, yeah, man, that was awesome, right? I'm always on to the next. I'm not going to give myself credit. I'm always on to the next thing, right? And then, oh, that was great, but now we're doing it bigger, right? So for me, it's more like a feeling. I want to be happy, and I've made some sacrifices in my life, because I wasn't happy, and I had to cut that away. And you typically get it when if you hang around a lot of negativity and a lot of negative people. I would cut that away in the instant, because for me, happiness, is the biggest thing for me that I feel like every day. And you'll have bad days. Of course, you'll have bad days. I have bad days, right? But in the overall, I want a happy and radiant life where I'm happy to be, not kind of. I think it was Timothy Ferriss who coined this where you kind of push the life ahead of you. You want to. What did he call that? Well, basically, you wait on living until you kind of retire. Then you have to start living, right? So I want to be happy now, because we don't know. despite religion and everything, you don't know how many lives you get, right?
Yeah.
For all you know, you get one life. So if you don't enjoy it here and now, and if you don't feel like you're happy where you are, I mean, change it. I mean, I know that's not the situation everywhere. I mean, you're of course not from Denmark, right? But at least in Denmark and in most of the Western world, we have a fairly amount of security. At least here in Denmark, we have great security, so you can actually mess up a lot and still not end on the street in Denmark, right?
Yeah,
so at least in Denmark, I mean, you can fuck up a lot. So there's no excuses, right? But people still stay in their jobs. So success is more like, you know, a feeling. You know, you should strive to be happy in what you do.
Amazing, man. That's true. So you think success is a matter of feelings?
Yeah, I would say so. I know it's probably controversial about that, but really, because you've got a lot of money, but you're tired and sad all the time, and you feel like you have to make the next amount of money or whatever. I mean, you have to change that. For me, it wasn't money; it's more time. You know, I want time with my kids. I want time for my own stuff because, you know, even though I'm on stages in front of a lot of people and I do video and all of that, I'm an introvert. You know, I'm this IT geek. I'm introvert. The way I charge my batteries is on the couch watching Netflix or playing PlayStation, right? You know, where I'm only myself, or I meditate or something like that. I have to do that to charge my batteries. So, I mean, you have to be happy in where you are, and if you're not happy, you need to change something. I would say, and that is success, because, you know, money won't make you successful, but everyone tries to find out by themselves. Yeah.
Because there is kind of notion like people just believe, man, when I make this kind of figures of dollars or whatever, then I'm gonna feel successful.
No, because then you buy a big ass house, right? And you have $0 left, right? And then you have to find some more. So that's the problem, right? I mean, if you made $1 million, you just spend them on some shit, right? And then you have to make another million, and you're miserable again, right? So I mean, yeah.
But you've written 2 books, right?
Yeah.
This what the title again?
The first one was in English, and that was the
Lifestyle
Business Rockstar. Yeah.
So what was it all about?
It was after I read the 4-Hour Workweek, and I think the 4-Hour Work was more like a manifesto of the mobile lifestyle, basically, and the lifestyle. And I wanted something more focusing on the business, because he doesn't discuss too many different business models in the book. So I basically wanted a book that more discussed on, okay, if you're starting out, what kind of business models will work out, right? How can you easily get started? That was the idea behind that book, and that was in English. And then I wrote a book in Danish, more about how to become an online expert. So that is more like one business model where you kind of where I describe my model for you know, creating your message and getting an audience and creating products and selling them, basically. Okay,
can somebody read this online expert book and get a step-by-step guide to become
I mean, the book in Danish is more step-by-step, I would say, because that outlines my entire model. But, you know, I have the same model I'm teaching in that book. I have that in my 3-day seminar as well. So, of course, you can read the book and you can try to work it out for yourself, but you can also, you know, turn up on my 3-day events. You can get the same knowledge, but there we kind of, you know, we do exercises with the audience, so they kind of get forced through all the steps. But we only have them 3 days, so they can't implement it. They have to go back, you know, with all their handout and all their notes, and they have to implement it, right? And then I have, you know, a 12-week program. It's the same model. The knowledge is in the book. It's the same model, right? But in my 12-week program, those are people I help more closely, where I kind of, you know, do it with them. So it's more like implementation. So again, you know, it's kind of a step-by-step in the book, but in the degree you want to work closer with me, I charge them more, of course. Does that make sense? So I mean, you can get all my knowledge in that one book, basically, because it's the same model I'm using with my mentees, who I charge around, you know, is it $5,000, right? I charge currently when we're shooting this video. I want this, you know, if you come to me a year from now, you know, it's $7,000, right? No, but I'm charging $5,000. But you know, it's the same model that's in the book. Okay. I'm just, you know, holding their hands, giving them feedback and all of that. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's kind of step by step. So yeah. While the first book in English is more like a discussion of the different business models, because I don't go into the details of each of the models, if that makes sense. Wow. I have I think 4 business models in the first book.
That sounds pretty credible. But like, how many numbers of people do you think you have affected their life positively?
Who influenced me, or
that you have your work have affected your life?
I mean, the second book, we've sold it to more than 4,500 people here in Denmark. So 4,500, and you know, most books in Denmark don't sell more than 1,000 copies, right? So 4,500 without a publisher. I've published it myself.
Okay.
I just marketed myself. So we sold 4,500 up until now.
Wow.
So you know, and I have seminars a couple of times a year, 3-day seminars, typically for hundreds of people. So, and I do webinars, a lot of webinars where I have anywhere between 100 and 300 people on. So I've influenced thousands of people here in Denmark, just in Denmark.
Wow, that sounds pretty great. But before I ask you my last question, like for someone who is standing in between the thin line of this monthly paycheck thing and thinking, should I jump into the online business world? What advice do you have for that kind of people? Do you think they should just jump in, or?
No, I think that you should keep that job. I know a lot of people say, no, you should cut all your ties, you know, and just go into it. But remember, you know, some of us has children, right? And we've also reached, you know, stages in our lives where I don't want to go back to just eating pasta with ketchup on, right? I mean, I'm not there, you know. If I want great red wine, I mean, I have to get some money, right? So I can't just make that clean cut and say, okay, I'll be an entrepreneur, you know, just hustling my way through. No, man, you need some cash too. Also, if you've got a wife, right? I mean, you can't tell her, shouldn't we just, you know, live off pasta and ketchup for a couple of years while I build this thing of my dreams? And you just say, no, man, I need new shoes. Right? No, I mean, I don't like advising people to just cut all ties. That's fine if you're in your early 20s and you're living still home, right? But if you're like me, I mean, I'm turning 43 here next week, right? Okay. And yeah, I mean, I would probably see this as keeping my business, but then creating a small product. That could just be a small online course. And I mean, with small, I mean just a couple of hours of video, for instance. Yeah, two hours of videos to try it out.
Yeah, just see how it goes.
Or create this free, you know, lead magnet, this free ebook or whatever. I mean, whatever, and see if you can actually get people to sign up to get this free thing. You know, because if you cannot get people to sign up for something free, you cannot sell them this program for $10,000.
No.
Does that make sense? So step it up a little bit. You know, start by getting people onto your newsletter, and then when you have like 500 people there over time, you know, try to sell them a cheap product. All of my online programs, I have sold them before I created them. Why? Because I'm a lazy bum. As I started by saying, you know, I try to motivate myself. Oh, Rasmus, I need to create this, you know, 6-module online course with tons of videos, like 45 videos. But man, there's this dancing cat on YouTube, right? I need to check that out first, right? So I typically sell my program first. And then I tell them, okay, we're starting in 1 month, right? And then I have some time to create the first modules and trip them out to them. But that's how I kind of motivate myself, because I'm a lazy bum myself. So I mean, try to sell people something.
Okay, now, but what impact do you want to make in the world?
I'm not sure I will ever be big enough to be someone, you know, who will put a guy on Mars, right? So I'm happy as long as I can just change, you know, one person and inspire one person and still make a living. I'm fine with that. I don't have these, you know, big visions of creating this, you know, billion-dollar company or helping 1 million or feeding 1 million people. I would love to have that, but I'm just basically too lazy, right? I mean, but seeing people, you know, smile and seeing that you've changed them and you create a difference in their lives, and I still can live the life that I want, that's really enough for me. When that is said, of course, I would like to have a bigger revenue in my business and all of that, but I'm not, you know, working 10 hours more to get that. I'm still keeping it at those 25, 30 hours a week. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I would love to leave a big impact in my life, but I have to be honest, you know, when I have to leave this world, I would rather have my kids say I was a good dad than, you know, I made a lot of money. I have to be honest about that.
I think I'm going to clap for you for that. Yeah. I really like that concept.
Yeah.
I think I would like to do that too, man.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So now, finally, the last question. You know, I got this question from one of my audience. You know, she sent me this message like, man, can I still make it in life? And I was kind of like, how old are you? He said, I'm 40. Like, come on, you got a whole lot of time ahead of you, man.
Yeah.
So what do you have to say for those kind of people who like feel confused? Like,
I think most of the advice out there when it comes to entrepreneurship, you know, someone like, you know, Gary Vaynerchuk, you just, you know, hustle through and all of that. And basically, if you're in your early 20s, you can do a lot, right? You don't have expenses or, you know, a mortgage or kids or anything like that. You can do a lot with your time. And as you remember, I was creating music when I was in my 20s, right? I could just spend all time in the studio. I can't do that anymore because I have kids, I have mortgages, right? So I think you will have to find the right model for you, because of course you can do it. But you shouldn't listen to someone who says, just, you know, grind through 80 hours a week, right? Because you have a wife, you have kids, you perhaps have an existing job, and you can't just, you know, remove all of that, right? So find a model that works for you. And if that is, you know, just create a little bit, I would say the biggest thing is you have a momentum. As long as you have momentum, as long as you're walking the path, you will reach, and you're following the map. If you're following the map and you're walking the path, you will reach your goal eventually. Yeah, you will reach it. But for some, it will take 5 years. For some, it will take 6 months, depending on how fast they're moving. And if you're in a good spot where you have, you know, money coming in for your job, and you have a spouse, and you have kids, and all of that, and I mean, take it in that tempo. But find a good model, perhaps a mentor, someone you trust who've made it. Follow their system. Don't get, you know, don't get distracted by all this shiny objects, right? That will be all over you. Just you know, find that one thing, you know. Yeah, cryptocurrency. Don't get me started on that one. You know. Everyone who lost money on cryptocurrency, raise your hands, right? I mean, don't take investing advice from me, right? But you know, find someone you trust who's made it, follow their system, and then just forget everything else and just walk that, you know, that path, and take it in your own tempo. Because as long as you keep on walking and you have that momentum, you will reach your destination and your goal.
Wow, honestly, this really sounds amazing, man. So, and also, if people want to find you, where would they find you? Yeah,
it's a good question, because in English I only have, you know, retiremyass.com, but I just took that down. It's just like a splash page there now. So it's only in Danish, and that is rasmuslindgren.dk right now. That's the main site for me. You can also try to find me on YouTube, but you will find some crazy old videos that are really bad.
Right?
Yeah, really bad videos. So let's see if I can take them down before someone can Google them.
So I think we're going to end here, man. Thanks so much for the time, Rasmus, and I really appreciate you.
No, I'm glad you.
It's a pleasure, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much, man.
Thank you.
So, all right, this is Rasmus Lindgren.